Greetings, fellow Gorehounds, or should I say, namaste, my fellow Gorehounds. Today we're going to talk about Mind, Body, Spirit, a found-footage horror film from writer-directors Alex Henes and Matthew Merenda. The movie follows a aspiring fitness influencer, a yoga influencer in particular, named Anya, who inherits her grandmother's house and decides to move into grandmother's house in order to find herself. And whilst in grandmother's house, she finds out that her grandmother was a witch and had a book of spells. And she decides to do one of those spells in order to do a spiritual cleansing, and she takes her audience along the journey that is very much spiritual, but maybe not the spiritual journey she thought she was going to take them on. This movie is a very straightforward found footage movie, executed very well. I liked this movie a lot.
Yeah.
I liked the main character. She perfectly embodies the kind of anxious person that she's playing.
Yeah.
She's a super anxious millennial who's at that point in her life where she's kind of having like her mid-30s crisis.
Yeah.
She's already done all the achievements that were set out for her. And now it's just like, well, what do I do now? Well, maybe I'll start a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So she does. She's not really good at it, but at the same time, she might get better with practice.
Yeah. She's no worse than most people starting out.
Exactly. As YouTubers, the beginning of this movie was very relatable.
Oh, yeah.
Watching her like try to figure out the setting up of the camera and how to start her videos and whatnot.
Yeah.
All that stuff was super relatable, and it was done earnestly by the actress, and I gotta commend her for that.
Yeah, did a very good job.
The other thing that makes this movie really work is it has a lot of awesome Paranormal Activity-esque creepy moments.
Yeah.
A great example is there's a point in which she's doing like her yoga thing and like part of a ritual, and you can see on the wooden floor underneath her, because she's got one of those yoga pads, but on the wooden floor around the yoga pad, you can see something moving in the reflection on the floor.
Yeah.
But there's nothing on top. So it's like you're seeing like the reflection of some sort of spirit, some sort of ghost.
Yeah, and you can tell these are really like, they're really good, like low budget effects.
Yes.
You know?
They're very simple effects done really well to achieve a creepy effect. And every single one of them works, to be completely honest. I really liked it.
It's a solid movie.
Absolutely. I like to watch the scenes and then pause and then try to figure out, okay, how did they film this?
You know, where's the
seam,
the seam line?
Yeah.
You know?
And they do a really good job of hiding their seams if you're into that kind of thing. So I really dug what they did with that mechanically. But the other thing I like about this movie is that while the movie does very much go where I pretty much predicted it would go from the beginning.
Yeah. But you're like, oh, there's a book of spells. There's an untrustworthy grandmother. Oh, gee, you wonder what's going to happen.
We'll talk about exactly what's wrong with the Book of Spells when we get to the spoiler section, but needless to say, whatever your gut feeling is when the movie starts, probably what it's going to be.
Probably right.
But it's not unsatisfying.
No.
I really enjoyed where it went, even though I kind of knew it was going there.
Yeah, the movie doesn't overstay its welcome. All the scenes where she's puking are pretty good.
Yes, I do love those puking scenes.
She also has this friend who is a more successful influencer who has sponsorships and shit.
She's really good because not only is she exactly the kind of bitchy fake person that you expect someone like that to be, by the end of the movie you almost feel bad for her.
Yeah, because she does start to apologize.
Yeah, she kind of acknowledges her own shittiness.
Yeah.
Almost too late for her when that happens, but when it does happen, you're like, oh man, this actress playing her friend was so good and the writing was so good that the character I despised at the beginning of the movie, I now feel really bad for.
Yeah, and then of course bad things happen.
And then bad things happen. We'll talk about that in the spoiler section.
There's a point where she's doing the spell and she's obviously on some sort of drug trip.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one point where the suspension of disbelief gets a little stretched because you're like, wait, we're seeing this on film. Is it literally happening or is it all in her head?
Yeah, that part I was a little iffy on because on one hand, the movie did a good job of its verisimilitude throughout it.
Yeah.
Where I believed everything that was happening was really happening and I wasn't really thinking about the fact that I was watching a movie.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm watching someone's slow descent into the occult. But then that scene happens and it's it's her perspective of going insane, but
we're still using the found footage camera shot.
So it feels weird, right?
Yeah. You're like, is she literally splitting into two different people? Is time literally slowing down?
Late Night with the Devil did something similar in its final act.
It did.
And in that movie, it also bugged me a little bit when it did that. It's almost less egregious here.
Yeah.
But I did have that moment where I'm like, oh, now I'm reminded I'm watching a movie. Right?
Yeah.
Even though I did like how that sequence plays out.
It's a good sequence.
It is.
Yeah, it is a good sequence, but it does have that problem of like, you're not sure if it's supposed to be real or not.
Found footage is not supposed to be her actual perspective. It's the camera's perspective.
You have enough of a hint that the magic's real by this point that it could be literally happening in front of the camera. But it feels a little odd.
It does feel odd. It definitely feels odd. But if that's my only complaint really with the movie, then they did a good job.
Yeah, no, it did a great job. You know, I didn't mind it when they did it in Late Night with the Devil either.
Yeah, fair. Yeah. That movie works despite that.
It works despite that potential problem.
I did remember the last thing I wanted to mention about the movie. The other thing I really enjoyed about the movie is the way it basically lampoons a lot of that like cultural appropriation.
Oh yeah.
Self-help stuff.
Yes.
That whole yoga influencer world. I really appreciated that, and I found that aspect of the movie cathartic. Even if I felt bad for both women that were at the ass end of it by the end of the movie.
Yeah. You spend enough time on social media, you start to go, oh my fucking God, like why? Please don't do this. I don't want to see this. I don't want you to be doing this. I feel embarrassed for you.
It's always a grift.
Yeah, it's always a grift.
And that's the thing that's really interesting about the main characters. The main character does not want to be a grifter. They're a true believer.
Yeah.
But their friend is clearly the grifter.
Clearly a grifter, yeah.
And that's what separates them, and that's also why she's somewhat bad at it. Mm-hmm. Because she is genuine, which is going to get her some followers if she can like polish it up a little bit, but it also means that she's in for a rude awakening, and in the movie she is, for a completely different reason. Yeah. So yeah, Mind, Body, Spirit, we watched it on Shudder and thoroughly enjoyed it, but I believe it is on other streaming platforms, so pick your poison and enjoy. And with that said, let us move on to the spoiler section so we can talk about the parts of the movie that we haven't talked about yet. So, here we go.
All right. So if you were like, wow, this ritual looks like it's supposed to fucking separate this girl from her body so her grandma can possess her.
Yep.
That's exactly it.
Absolutely.
Well, congratulations.
You figured it out. Figured it out. That's basically what this entire movie is her following this ritual left by her grandma, thinking that her grandma was her loving grandma who cared for her, unlike everyone else in the family.
She's a healing witch. No, it turns out she's like a fairy tale witch.
Yeah, well, what I love about it is the movie does have you, like, shift your, like, allegiances throughout it.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning of the movie, when she's talking to her mom, you're very much on her side, because her mom comes across like she's being very controlling, she's being very bitchy, very dismissive of all of the daughter's concerns and the daughter's love of the grandmother. But once you realize that the grandmother is straight up a witch and doesn't give a shit about her and just wants to use her to take over her body, you realize that the mom was desperately trying to protect her from this dangerous monster that's looming over her.
Yep. And so, at the end of the movie, spoilers, the witch succeeds.
Yep, successfully takes over the body. And ends up killing the other influencer friend once possessed.
Yes.
When that happened, I kind of got the impression that, like, I guess there's like a steady flow of bodies that needs to happen to keep this going or something.
Yeah.
Because they dragged that body into the ritual room afterwards.
Yeah.
There is the grandmother's ghost, but there's also something else.
Yeah, there's like a demon or something.
Because you'll see the grandmother, but then you'll see like a demon hand or something drag something into the basement.
Yeah.
So you're like, there's obviously something that the grandmother is tethered to. This has nothing to do with what happened in the movie, but when the movie ended, I realized that this movie is perfect for doing a interesting sequel that follows the same character, now possessed by the grandmother, doing their yoga channel, getting really successful at it, but then like the real her starts to like try to call herself back.
I would watch that.
Yeah, I would
watch that.
Wouldn't that be a good sequel?
That would be a good sequel.
Unfortunately, there's not a lot to talk about. It's a very straightforward movie, and we kind of covered almost everything there is.
Pretty much covered everything, yeah.
So yeah, Mind, Body, Spirit, we enjoyed the movie. I apologize for the very short vlog, but it's actually a very short and to-the-point movie.
Yeah, it's not even like an hour. It's only like an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's very quick.
Yeah.
It's very quick. It's a classic found footage movie where they take a simple idea and they just do it, and then they're out with some cool little creepy moments throughout. And so with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, Where can they find you, Count Jackula?
Well, you can find me here on YouTube, where I stream starting at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. What about you?
Y'all know me, I'm the Horror Guru. You can find me at various social media platforms, but these days I primarily use Blue Sky, so follow me on there. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. And if you'd like to help out either of us more directly, be sure to check out our Patreon pages. And remember, if you decide to go the Patreon route, even $1 a month can go a long way, but we will certainly accept more. And if you made it this far into the video, then I want you to comment below, and be sure to comment below using the hashtag
Baba Yoga.
Use the hashtag Baba Yoga. That way I know, that way Jack knows, that way the whole world knows that you follow the great and almighty words of the Baba Grandma.